All right, 6 o'clock, call to order, please rise for pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jenny, do a roll call, please.
Councilmember Robinson.
Here.
Councilmember Epic. Here. Councilmember Bauer.
Here.
Councilmember Bauer.
Here.
Mayor Feldman.
Here. All right, do you have a motion tonight to adopt tonight's agenda? Do you have a motion?
Make that motion, Mayor.
Councilor Robinson makes a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilor Udvik makes a second. Any discussion? Do we have to do a roll call with, we still have to do a roll call with Jory. Okay, so Jenny, want to do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bauer.
Aye.
Councilmember Epic. Aye. Councilmember Robinson.
Aye.
Councilmember Bauer.
Aye.
Mayor Feldman.
Aye. All right, tonight's consent agenda, I'm going to pull items F, H, and I for some clarification and discussion. Other than that, do I have a motion to adopt tonight's consent agenda items A, B, C, D, E, G, J, K? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Councilor Bauer makes a first, Councilor Mulebauer makes a second. All on this one? Yes, please, Jenny.
Councilmember Robinson.
Aye.
Councilmember Bauer.
Aye.
Councilmember Epic. Aye. Councilmember Bauer.
Aye.
All right, so moving on to item F here. Just a second, bear with me. Twenty-six. Okay. Jason, you want to explain to us, because we have questions on,
You broke up there, Mr. Mayor. What did you say about questions?
item F is about the high service pump number 1 rehab and replacement. Okay?
Yep.
It is recommended that every 7 to 10 years, you already done this, but with pump 1s and 2, I believe, right?
Correct.
My question is, and I find this really weird to me, renter comes in at $14,880. And I know we have the money budgeted, the capital improvement plan, but Trout comes in at $37.70 for the same item, same work.
Yeah. Trout is well known. They're out of Wilmer, and they got a lot bigger company, a lot bigger equipment, more staff. Their overhead is extremely high. Renner has been in the business for, oh man, I want to say close to 70 some years, and they're local, and they can afford to come in and be efficient and effective with what they do. And, I used them in other cities that I worked. Most people that I know locally use them. They don't monkey around. They come in, they give a fair price, and they do a quality job. I've yet to see them get outbid on anything in my career.
But you're talking about a $22,000 difference between two companies. I mean, I guess my point is, to be more apples to apples and comparable, I mean, would it be, and I'm not saying for the future, I have to bring this up to council for the third bid, because, 22,000 almost puts it way out of the ballpark to be considered. I mean, who's going to take a $36,000 bid when you get the same job done for $14,880? So is there other companies we can look at besides Trout that's in Will was asking?
There's only a few that we would use, Thinewell, Renner, Trout. Those are the three main ones that you have come in and do any kind of service work. And as far as putting wells in, they're the main ones that do it. There's a lot of companies that take a look at construction on how high we were on our bids with the bottle shop from low to high. There's, construction jobs, people will leave $200,000-$300,000 on the table quite regularly just to get to work locally and stay busy. And that's kind of their motto, is just come in, make money, do a good job, and it works out for us. I guess I really don't know what else to say. I understand what you're saying. It does seem crazy, but they've been doing this for years. It's a family-owned business. The daughter she's actually one that comes out and works with us. She was taught by her father and another guy named Jerry Aljetz that used to work there. It's just a small niche group, and they're really good at what they do, and they don't need to charge a lot of money to do it.
I understand that, but then you go down to item H, the well number one, a rehab, I mean, again, trout comes in at 35,665, and then
Yep.
Renner comes 519. So at this rate, Renner's always gonna win it because trout's always gonna be higher. I mean, I'm just saying to you that for our purpose as council, and I just bring this up as council, we'll get their input on that, but I'm just saying that if you're always gonna go with one high and one low, are we being right not to have someone else come in to give us a broader perspective of bidding on this? Because it seems like one extreme to the other. Now, granted, the well is only at a $5,000 difference, but the other $22,000 difference, that's huge. In my
Right.
opinion. Let me just get.
Yeah,
over to-
I mean, that we have the same people bid on them pretty much all the time. One of the other companies, they're a little bit further away. They don't even take a lot of local work. It all depends on what it is and how busy they are. So we're kind of at the mercy of them. I mean, we can certainly look into it. I would be really surprised to see anybody in this area beat them guys as far as price goes. Like I said, I've been using this company since the beginning of my career, and I was seeing the same thing 20 years ago out of these guys.
Okay, I'll turn over for discussion here in a second. Also, I want to bring up here about the service pump one and then the well number one. Now, wells repairs also got some pumping in too, by the way. So explain the word between one to the other, because like I read it, it says that the well rehab, there's a pump in there, you're dealing with that too. So what are we?
So
there's two-
the high
Go ahead.
service pump is at the treatment plant, right? So that actually pulls out of like a wet storage tank, and the regular well one is one of our deep wells that's in an aquifer.
Okay,
So like the one by the water tower would be well one. High service pump one is at the water plant.
Okay, so pump one is with the tower and the other one is with the well, is that right?
Nope. So well number one is that little room, that little building behind the water tower, and high service one is actually at our water treatment facility.
All right, okay, that clarifies it for me. All right, so let me pass this on for a little discussion here. Sarah, let me have your comments on this.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering the same thing about the bids. I guess it's the next item, would be item I. And, we only got bids for, doing the whole thing and one company doing only part of it. It wasn't, and I mean, looked at just doing the one part, they were pretty much spot on. But here, what it would be if we hired another company to come in and do the other work. So we didn't really have to compare it.
Well, before we let's just talk about the pumps, the two bids we have.
We're gonna go with the one.
The one thing to consider is high service pump one is shallow. Okay. Well number one, I don't know what our exact depth is, but think of it as 500 feet deep. So they have to pull all that standpipe out one by one. There's a lot more service, a lot more hands-on. There's a lot more work involved in it. That's why you see such a big difference between the two.
All right, and I just, before going on here, I'm just saying to you that at this rate, trout will never get it and Renner will get everyone, because Renner's always going to be lower than trout. So my point is, is there another company out there that can give us more of a broad perspective of the bidding price on this, because I would imagine over the years, you're telling me that Renner got more jobs from us than Trout because of the pricing, and I understand that. But should a third entity be brought in to make sure?
We can certainly, the next go around, we can certainly reach out a little bit and see if there's other people that are interested in bidding on it for sure. I mean, we could actually, check into that beforehand. I know Parrish has a really good working relationship with Renner as well. Prior to me being here, they know our system very well. But I can certainly sit down with him and we can talk more in depth about that moving forward. Sure.
I think it'll let us know that the bidding process was done fairly in the bidding process.
Yep, absolutely.
Because like I say, again, when you're $22,000 difference, of course, you're not going with Trout. The other one's a $5,000 difference, but I just marvel that Trout will always be higher and Renner will always be lower, so Renner's always going to get the work. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Got a point on that? I mean, Joe, do you have any comments on this at all?
No, I don't really have anything to add. I think lowest responsible bid, and Jason seems to think they're responsible, so I would go with that at this moment.
Not much more about that. All right, that's just the point I want to bring up here. And then on H, I'm not really going to go much more on that, but anyways, on H, by the way, or what she's saying is the two bids for the two companies were the same for the roof. But what was different was the actual work that the other company was going to do, $5,000 work. So, yeah, explain that, Sarah.
Oh, that was.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but the roof, there's some foundation issues that are causing the roof is shrinking and it's cracking up the block work. So the one company that does the repairs or that bid on the roof, they don't do concrete repairs on them type of buildings. And right now, to get people out there to be able to try to do all in one is nearly impossible. Everybody's so busy that this company here specializes in both. So I talked to one of the guys over at the bottle shop and I asked him, the guy that does the brickwork, I said, what would it cost to come in there and repair it? And he says, well, you really got to look at, what's going on there structurally. If you just go in there and tuck point it may not correct the problem. So we felt comfortable with the people that were going to repair the roof. We're also going to repair the building so they can make proper adjustments to both so this doesn't happen again in the future.
But this is a ballast roof, right? This is not an adhered roof that's on there, right?
It's a flat rubber roof, yes.
Ballast. Here. The ballast by rock.
Yep.
Roof fell down by the weight of the rock, not adhered by glue.
Correct.
So, I just never knew that they stretched like that over time, because I've done both, and I just didn't know that they do that. But I mean,
I didn't think they stretched that much, but according to him, they do, and it did. It pulled that. I mean, I went and looked myself. It pulled that top in enough to crack that block. That's crazy.
Up the parapet wall, and then it's attached to it, but that almost tells me that something was wrong on the insulation rather, because I've never heard of a ballast roof shrinking and pulling when the weight of rock is
right, because it's already set in place. Well, the good news is if this is approved, they'll be able to dig into it and see actually what's going on.
All right, but Sarah's question to me earlier today was this. You have the $15,500 for the actual roof repairs, the same for B&B and the same for McDowell. We've had experience with McDowell. We know how they are. We know what they can do. The question is, there is no bid with another company that actually does all of it. Like you said, there's a limited amount of companies that do all of it versus
right,
not the repairs.
We asked them if they could give us a bid on that, and they said that they do not do that. So then we started, sitting down talking, well, we got to find a local concrete company that would come in, and then trying to coordinate the two to work together. It just didn't seem like it would be feasible. And when we sat down with McDowell and they told us how they were going to do their process, we figured we're right there within budget, and they're gonna take care of both. And, hopefully they can figure out what's going on and make a correction so it doesn't do it again. That was kind of our thought process on that.
Yeah, a one-stop shop is probably a better way to go for warranties and everything else. But I will say one thing, I'm very curious about when you get into this, about the roof and why it pulled it like that. I'd like to know why that membrane pulled out the parapet to crack the concrete. I'd like to know
Right.
that. 'Cause I don't know if it's the roof that did it as well as something else that may have done it.
Yeah, certainly. We'll ask that question. I'm sure you'll be around out and about when they're doing it.
I'm just saying, because a ballast roof is only, it's a free-floating, it's a membrane only held down by the weight of the rock on top of it, where an adhered roof was glued down.
Glued down, right?
We put that on the new addition to the muni, but I've done both roofs, but I never heard of that, so I'm very curious about that down the road. I hate to think that was the problem, it wasn't a problem, later on we have another fix to do, so anyway. Answer your question over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Rob, did you have any clarification on this at all?
Yeah. The outline of each, for Reener, where you have pump, that's it, and then you kind of try to put the two bids together. And to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I like the fact that the one is 14,000, the other one's 36,000. But is the 14,000 just inspecting all the things that the $36,000 bid is actually going to replace all these other items? And another thing to see is Trout states that they have a pump rebuild 12. You see, I'm assuming that's horsepower or 3-stage. And Reamer just states that they're going to rebuild the motor. So are they just going to come in and look at our stuff, rebuild on the old equipment, or are we getting a new motor? And maybe that's the bid is so low. Those are the things that I kind of tossed around with. Why is the bid so much different? Are we getting a company that's going to replace everything, as I can read in the Trout explanations? Reener doesn't say that they're going to replace anything. They don't actually say that they're going to just inspect either. It's just something that looks a little bit in their bid for me, but I'll hold them on the carpet for 14,000 for sure.
Yeah. There's only, if a pump is bad, basically what they do is they rewind the windings, all new bearings, the sears, everything gets pulled apart and replaced in the pump or in the turbine itself. And then it's basically just the casting that they're using over. So everything in it is replaced and repaired, like the windings are rewound. Both companies would be doing the same thing. If they had to replace the whole turbine, that price would be a lot more than $30-some thousand.
Okay. Yeah, because I like the fact, if you look at the Trout, even though it says a 12 HC, I'm assuming 3-stage, their price for that is $3,500, and the price for the rebuild pump itself for Reener is $36. So in actuality, Reener's a little bit higher on the pump rebuild than Trout. So it's just the other add-on stuff that I didn't really see was necessary on the Trout bid to bring it up to $36,000.
Yeah, there's a large discrepancy.
The other thing that I notice a lot in sewer and water, whether it be lift stations or well houses or water towers, you see this on a lot of bids, actually. We noticed it on the bottle shop too, is somebody can come in and they'll bid irrigation for $6,000 and the next guy's $20,000 and they're bidding the same thing. I think, a lot of it has to do with what they have in inventory, how much they can get the product for. And then quite honestly, I know that these companies mix it up a little bit in their quote process just to keep the other companies honest. That seems to happen a lot. So for us, we know what we're getting as a product. We know we're getting replacement parts. We know that they're going through it top to bottom. They're going to warranty it. And it's the bottom dollar that we look at really, because the parts breakdown for us, I mean, it's so much different. Just like lift station pumps, you know, you can get one for $5,000 over here. Next thing you know, you're getting a little different brand pump over here. They're $7,000. So it's really kind of fictitious when you look at it.
You piqued my interest on the word warranty. I don't see that in any of the bids. Are they the same in length as far as pump rebuilds and stuff like that?
The warranties are yes, the warranties are the same.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Kevin, your comments?
Rob brought up some really good points about the pumping, the pumps and the components, but also take a peek at the column pipe, the 10-inch by 5-foot section, schedule 375 pipe. Renner's got 580 times 4 feet, it's $2,300. And then you go down to Trout, and they've got the same 10-inch.
13,000.
10-inch, yeah, $13,000. So they got 4 units at $3,250 a pop. So is that 4 sections at $3,200 a piece? 4 sections of 5-foot pipe, or I mean that's a big flag for me right there. Maybe you know they got a young estimator or somebody figured went a little crazy with the pencil, but
Yeah,
can you explain that? You
I really
know
can't.
that one?
You know, I'm hearing about half of what you guys are saying, so I totally apologize for that. But I can't honestly sit here and question why they have more money on certain items over the other. I can only go by experience and price. You know, like for instance, the high service pump. That's, I think, 25 feet deep is all, okay? The well one is over 400 feet deep. So when you start talking about sections of pipe, you know, what they're replacing, that I don't know the nuts and bolts of it. I can tell you, you know, what a turbine is, what the bearings are, what they do. But when it comes to pricing, I don't know how they arrive to where they arrive.
Okay, well, that was just 6 times the amount that Brennan was charging, so it could have been an estimation error on their part. Again, Renner's got history with other municipalities, and you've got history with them, and they must know what they're doing. And again, you know, they're held accountable like any vendor that we have or any other city uses. So, if you feel comfortable with it and follow through, have to buy coffee next time if this doesn't work out.
Well, let me put it to you like this. If they were both the same price, okay, and I'll publicly say this, if they were both the same price, I would pick Renner every day of the week. Because their knowledge and history in our area with the stuff that they've worked on in the aquifers that we're in and the years of service between all the people that have retired out of there is second to none. And it's a learning lesson every time they come out. It's actually quite interesting. They're a very good company.
You've satisfied me again. You know, we're another set of eyes, and we all work together. So I'm satisfied. Thank you.
right. Joe, you got any comments on this?
No, I have nothing to add, Mr. Mayor.
The only thing I would say on this, again, as I stated before, is at this rate, anytime you get a project out with Trout against Renner, Renner will always win. Okay, so I would suggest you bring a third party in there so we know that on more fair level playing field with the bidding process. Yeah, we have to take a low qualified bid, but at this rate, the $22,000 difference, I mean, come on, how is Renner not going to beat a $22,000 difference? How?
But if these are exposed numbers to the public already, Mayor, another bidder will have an opportunity to look at either one of these. And
I'm not talking about this now, I'm talking about another one project down the road. No, I mean.
We'll certainly do that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I mean, I just, like I say again, because if I were to go back in history here and look at the jobs Renner's done for us, I'm not saying it would find work for us, but it just seems like they will always win the bid because Trout's always higher. It's almost like a rigged game, you know, to be accused of that. Anyway, all right, that's enough about this stuff, okay? Do we all agree with that? That's enough. Okay. Okay, let's move on here. Let me have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda items F, H, and I. Do I have a motion?
That motion, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Ludwig makes that motion. Do I have a second? Power makes a second. Barney, any further discussion? Jenny, do a roll call, please.
Councilmember Robinson.
Aye.
Councilmember Mulebauer.
Aye.
Councilmember Bauer.
Aye.
Mayor Feldman.
Aye. All right, thank you. Thank you for your information, Jason. Thank you for everybody who participated.
You bet.
Meeting open to the public. Do we have anyone?
No.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to, item number 7. We have a public hearing on this with the cameras, huh?
That's correct. So what we'll do is, Todd will give his presentation and we'll open it up for public comment. Once all public comments are received, we'll close the public comment portion of the hearing where the council will debate the merits of the request.
All right, Todd, are you ready?
Package them. All right, Mayor, Council, on May 17th of this year, the police department received city council approval to begin the process of implementing its own portable recording system program, otherwise known as body worn cameras. The use of portable recording systems is increasing throughout the country, and they're used to increase transparency, improve evidence collection and documentation, and also for accountability purposes. And to get a portable recording system up and running involves quite the process. It's unfortunately not as easy as just going out, buying a bunch of cameras and slapping them on uniforms. I wish it was, but it's not. So because it is such a process, we began by establishing a timeline with staff. There's a lot that goes into this process, so we want to have a timeline in place in order to set and meet certain objectives along the way, all the way to full program implementation. And we knew that portable recording systems would be fairly expensive, so we actually began budgeting several years ago in the capital budget in preparation and anticipation that we would have a camera program in place sometime in 2021. As far as equipment, there are a lot of places out there now that sell these camera systems, so we began comparing equipment and vendors very early in the process to try to determine what would really be the best fit for our department. And Sergeant Ryan Larson is here with me tonight. He had a big hand in doing a lot of this research with me. So there are also a lot of state requirements we had to follow as part of our process, including establishing a policy, accepting public comment, which I'll touch on in just a moment. The conclusion of this process would include training for staff on the use of equipment, policy, etc., followed by the program implementation and periodic internal audits on the program to assure policies are being followed, data retention requirements are being met, etc. So we're currently in the public comment part of the process, the second half of that process. In Minnesota, for a law enforcement agency to implement a portable recording system, state law requires that they begin by providing an opportunity for public comment before it purchases or implements a portable recording system. And at a minimum, the agency must accept public comments submitted electronically or by mail. And also the governing body with the jurisdiction over the budget of law enforcement agency must provide an opportunity for public comment at a regularly scheduled meeting. That will be obviously city council in this case. In addition, a law enforcement agency must also establish and enforce a written policy governing the use of its portable recording system, and there must be an opportunity for public comment and input on the department's draft policy as well. So our first public comment opportunity came by way of a link to a survey for the public to take, which contained general questions pertaining to a portable recording system. Also available to view and comment on was a portable recording system draft policy. The survey and the policy were posted on the city website on August 26th and stayed available through September 13th. And the information was also posted on the police department's Facebook page. Tonight will be the second opportunity for public comment at a public hearing immediately following this presentation. So the survey, so 55 people participated in this online survey that was open for a couple of weeks. I won't necessarily go through each question. We'll just kind of flip through them here as we go. But after viewing the responses to the survey questions, it does appear that there's a lot of support for the use of cameras, not only for accountability purposes, but also for the safety of both the public and the officers involved. There were also a few feedback questions submitted by the public at the end of the survey, and all of those answers to those questions are actually addressed in our policy. And if the policy isn't clear to the council or members of the public, I can certainly try and clarify if needed. The survey and the results can also be found in your packets, of course, and then on the city website for the public to view. And from here, I'll go right into some information regarding the equipment itself and its costs associated. When it comes to portable recording systems, there, again, as I mentioned, there's a lot of camera manufacturers and vendors out there. Right now, over the course of this year, myself and staff looked at and received information on many of them, including Arbitrator, Axon, WatchGuard, Digital Ally, amongst several others. And things we're looking for were things like durability, reliability, warranty, quality of the video and the audio, reputation, and of course the cost. And what we found is the cost mainly come down to two main areas: the equipment itself, which includes things like the camera, batteries, the charging docks, the power cords, the uniform mounts, etc., and the storage of the collected data. And we found that the equipment itself is pretty comparable between manufacturers, and we found the widest range of prices when it came down to the storage of the data. And after looking at numerous manufacturers and vendors in all of these areas, we decided to narrow it down to Axon and Panasonic Arbitrator camera systems. And part of the reason for this is that these camera manufacturers have both been around for a very long time. They both have good reputations and are widely used not only in Minnesota, but throughout the country. And in fact, in Anoka County, out of all the law enforcement agencies that use body-worn cameras, there's only one that doesn't use either Axon or Panasonic Arbitrator as their system. I'll run through some brief comparisons. This first chart is about year one per officer, which includes the camera, the licensing software support, the warranty and data storage cost per camera or per officer. Also included at the bottom of the chart there, the $5,000 figure. That's for additional equipment like a 8 camera docking unit, which would be used to charge cameras as well as to upload them to the server. We would also purchase triggering equipment, which would be installed in our squad cars that would be programmed to turn the cameras on under certain situations automatically, such as in our in-car systems. Currently, if we turn on emergency lights now, our in-car cameras automatically activate, they turn on. There's some other ways that they can be activated as well, one is by speed and things like that, but we can do the same setup for our body-worn cameras. That equipment is typically in the $3,000 range, depending on how advanced we want to get. Installation costs would also apply, such as installing the camera cradle wiring in the squad car. That would be for in-car charging of the camera, and we've actually already been doing this with our recent squad bills. We've been having them run the wiring in anticipation of that, so that should save us a little bit of money when it comes to install. Then there's also the mounting equipment for the uniforms, which can vary from $20 to $40 depending on the mount. So all of this hardware is very comparable in price between Panasonic and Axon. And to get off the ground, year one, get moving with the initial equipment purchase, squad setup, the licensing, storage, it'll just be under $18,000 with either Panasonic or Axon. The next chart shows system costs year 2 through 5. We can start seeing a little bit of separation, a little bit of cost difference, especially in the licensing area. And then the next would be the total program cost over a 5-year period, with a cost difference of about $6,000 between the two. And I did my best on trying to compare apples to apples with these two systems. Axon does offer a lot of options, a lot of different warranty and replacement options, as well as some unlimited storage options. But going to them options are very expensive. If we went with all them options, it would push us more to about $88,000, which our budget would support over the 5-year period. So really try to compare similar things when we compare these two vendors. They're both Panasonic and Axon. They're going to provide a quality product. Like I said, they've been around for a long time. They've been in business for a long time. Both systems will have high quality video and audio. Panasonic will give us a little longer battery life than Axon, about 12 to 14 hours on a charge, and also will give us a little wider range view of the cameras
With the Panasonic.
with the Panasonic. The equipment is going to be reliable. It's going to be durable. We should have no issues to get about 5 years of use out of the cameras before we do this. As you can see, Panasonic did come in a little cheaper over a 5-year period. We do also currently use Panasonic Arbitrator camera systems in our squad cars and had very few issues with them over the years. We've actually had them in our cars since 2014. And we already have the servers in place that hold our current squad video data. These servers will also hold camera data. So with all that said, the prices are subject to change slightly, but this gives you a general idea of what the pricing will look like. Based on the information and research that we've done the last several months, the police department would like to recommend moving forward with Panasonic Arbitrator for our camera system, not only based on the price, but because of our experience with their in-car systems, our lack of issues with the equipment. Officers and staff are familiar with the front end, where the recording and the classifying of videos will take place. We're also familiar with the back end of it, where you would download videos and view the videos. And customer service has never been an issue through our current vendor to Panasonic. It appears that at least last speaking to the rep, it seems like product availability should be good, so we should be able to move fairly quickly in getting the equipment and getting officers trained. We're currently adequately funded for the equipment and implementation of this camera system in the police department CIP, and we would continue to budget for future camera replacement as well, which right now is anticipated to be in 5 years. Very similar to our other computers and things like that. Have replacement plan in 5 years. And after tonight, we'll also have met the statutory requirements prior to implementing our portable recording system program, and we'll be ready to move forward in the process. So that's a lot of information really fast. And I can try to answer any questions following the public hearing, which will be our second and final public comment period of this process. So then after that, following questions, I'll ask for motion from council.
Thank you, Ted. So we should have public hearing first, then go with questions, correct? Correct. Okay. Then I will open this public hearing on, get to this thing here, on Monday, October 4th at 6:38. State your
Morning.
name and address.
Liz Fairbanks, 24360 Pound Street, St. Francis. I want to officially put on the books, on the record, that I fully support this. I think this is a great thing. We love our police here, and we want to also respect them and for their safety, as well as, people, regular citizens like us. So I just think it's a great thing, and I support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything, anyone else? All right. And I guess we can close it. Okay. And I'll close it on Monday, October 4th at 6:38. I want to just go on record and say this is no reflection on the police of why we want this or we should do this. Okay, we trust our officers and we have a good chief and good sergeants in place. So it's not a reflection upon our staff and officers. It really is a sad statement to the way of life we have today in this country and world. Through social media has caused headaches and all this, and made a situation where cameras are more needed to keep it good on both sides, as Liz just stated. I mean, like I say again, if I had my choice and the world was different, I'd say forget the cameras, but we don't have a choice like that in today's world. So I think it's good for both ends. One question I do have, by the way, is are the cameras going to be on all time or only when they make stops, or what policy will you have?
Right now, the way our policy is written, they're going to be required to be on all calls for service. And also on any interactions we may have with the public that could lead that
officer discretion to some type of altercation, could lead to some type of gathering of data that would be of evidentiary value. The only thing that we are not currently requiring it to be on are what we call general citizen contacts. It could be a casual conversation on a quick trip. It could be, someone inside the store where they're not going to be required to. Everything else where they could collect some evidentiary data, they'll be required.
And like I say, again, it's just, it's a sad statement of the times that we're living in today is why we're doing this. Because, again, our police force under your tutelage has been excellent with community orientation feelings. I know you get compliments all the time from people that like our police and are not afraid to call our police, which is very good. So, but it's just the times. And I think it's prudent to do this. So I'm in favor of it completely. So Kevin, I'll start with you on your comments you might have.
Very good presentation, very nice slides that really explained a lot, laid out. The survey, I was trying to figure out 55 people, if that's good or bad for our community. In other words, there wasn't enough concern to offer an opinion, or there's no concern with the police department as far as their efficiency and the way they've handled themselves up to this point, that people didn't feel the need to comment on camera and stuff. So I guess kind of dissect it that way, but officer discretion of use, can you give us a little more detail on that part again, as far as when they turn it on, when they turn it off, or
Yeah, so again, in our policy, it does say all calls for service, but a lot of our interactions are not necessarily calls for service. So if an officer self-initiates a warrant attempt, or they self-initiate whatever it may be, if they think in any way that that interaction could lead to some data, some type of evidence for the value of its application, whether it's last or whatever, then they were required to turn it on. Most interactions, I will say that they will have them. Like I said, the only time they're not going to be required to have them on is that general citizen contact where they're having a soda quick and somebody comes up, thanks them for their service, or having a conversation with somebody at the gas pump, or they're feeling they would be required.
okay. Also, then, with something like this as a new tool in your toolbox, so to speak, during a roll call and whatnot, or shift changes, you're not, you have to remind your officers, because they're professionals, trained professionals. But again, what they're wearing, why they're wearing it, when to use it, when not to use it, as far, again, in some history with other departments and whatnot, the officer made the choice of not to have it on, when in all rights, it probably should have been on. So is there something, whether who's ever in charge of sergeant at the time, kind of a reinstillment, I suppose, because this is new? I mean, you've had car cameras, so it's not really new, but.
Yeah, and there's certainly going to have to be some reminders. From time to time, we still need reminders even on our systems. Especially when things happen very quickly, the last thing an officer can think about is hitting the ball. Yeah. So our video is not necessarily the issue. More time it's our the body cameras are probably not going to be different. There's definitely going to be a breaking in period. We intend to have a full training session on policy with the whole department meeting as well as training on the equipment. So we're going to do that all at the same time. But yes, I can guarantee there are going to be some needed reminders as far as say, now if we think it's intentional, they intentionally didn't turn it on for whatever reason, that would be in violation of the policy.
Sure. All right, and then you answered my question. Customer service experience with Panasonic has been good and must be good with other cities users as well.
Yeah, the representative we dealt with has been the same.
Yeah, his name's Sam. He's local. He's out of Mapleville. Metro INET. He's the IT's Roseville. They highly recommend Arbitrator and Sonic. They count business and work closely with Sam also. So they have a good relationship.
I guess that's all I really had. A very nice presentation. I look forward to, again, it's a tool in your toolbox that keeps everybody accountable and should put the public more at ease that, we're out there you're out there doing a good qualified job and nothing to be scared of, nothing to be, there's no secrets here. So thank you.
All right, Rob, your comment?
I like the way the policy is written. Publicly, I have to agree with the mayor. Where we're at in the world today, it's a necessary evil. Personally, from someone that wears it, I don't like it. But, policy is way different than the way I wear mine than the way the police can wear theirs. Which I think is great. If you two are having a conversation, you don't have to have it on. Where I'm at, I have to have it on. When I'm talking to the mayor, face to face, it's gotta be on. I don't like that, because we can joke around, and then the person that's watching my body worn camera review gets offended by something that I've talked to another officer about. So that's what I have the biggest beef about, is a good policy written for the good is way better than just a blanket policy. It's on from the time your shift starts to the time your shift ends. I can't tell you how many times I went to the bathroom with mine, and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to turn it off. So, you
Well,
know,
and data storage is expensive. It costs money to store this stuff. and
ours,
we
I
keep it for a
think,
minimum 90 days. So.
they tell us that it rotates around after 30 days. So it just kind of, their data just kind of drops off unless they, you know, need to pull something from it and store it differently. I like the way that the policy is written. I don't have any issues with it at this time personally, though. I don't really like them because I feel like my trust is being questioned at all times, not just, you know, my integrity, but everything about me. So I want you guys, wear them with pride, do what you do, have your, you know, officer to officer conversations, laugh and joke, don't let it change you. So hopefully in the public's eye too, don't let it change you. I'm for it, but personally, I don't like them.
Very well put. Thank you for that comment. Sarah, your comments?
I guess, you know, we all kind of saw this coming for a while before. And, you know, it's just something that, as we said before, it's something that is necessary. It's just, you know, we trust our police. We really do. But there's lots of people out there that don't. And so for your safety, especially, and, you know, if something would happen, you know, I want you guys to have footage to show that, you know, what we follow, what we do, what we're supposed to do. Because, you know, things can get twisted, people can have their cell phones on and they can edit it and they can make it look like something totally different. So if we have this to show, then you guys just have extra backing, which I think is very important. I'm completely for it.
Thank you. Joe, your comments?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing for multiple reasons. I kind of understand where Rob's coming from as the person who has to wear it, but the only thing I would say if an officer said that to me, I guess, is one of the things they used to say to us is, you know, talk to us. If you don't got nothing to hide, you got nothing to worry about. So I think it keeps everybody honest on both sides. I can understand the feeling, like I say, that Rob stated. I mean, I probably feel the same way if I had to wear it myself. So I kind of get that. Been in situations like that in different places of work, so to speak. But I think it's a great thing. I like to lean towards the Panasonic based on it looked like. I mean, the cost up front was a little bit higher, but when you look at the overall breakdown, it seemed to be a better product and actually cost less. And the warranty, I think, was better looking at it. So that's about all I have. And, you know, appreciate those guys out there and doing everything. And I just think it protects everybody. It protects the public from, you know, if we did happen to hire a bad apple, which I don't think we have in the department currently, you know, but things like that can happen. And I think it helps to protect not only the city from that liability. It can, you know, it shows the chief that he can hold his officers accountable if he needs to. And it also protects the police from public trying to lie or put false allegations onto the police themselves. So I think it works out for the best for everybody. We're all human. We all make mistakes. And I think we got good leadership in our police department to be able to decipher between the two. So that's all I have.
Thank you. You know, I definitely agree with everybody here and Rob. The policy that you put in place with your sergeants and yourself is how this thing will go well or not. And another side of that apple, of course, is of an individual out there that may not like police and that when stopped by police will make something up and And this will protect our police from that end. So, like I say, the times dictate it. It's a sad statement of the times that we live in, but it's quite necessary at this time. So, I'm all in favor of it. So, good job. But like I say, the policy is the key. So, and I trust you and your staff with the policies that you put in effect. So, anyway, on that, we've got the public hearing done. Now it's just a matter of making a motion to accept it, right? So I have a motion to make, to approve the portable recording systems body worn camera by Panasonic. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Councilor Robinson makes that motion. I have a second. Councilmember Udrich makes a second. Burning for discussion. Can you do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bauer,
Aye.
Councilmember Udvig,
Aye.
Councilmember Robinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Mulebauer,
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, guys. Keep it up. Okay, keep up the good job. All right, meeting open to public, we have no one, I take it, or do we? Okay, all right. Then, let's see, we're going to move on to reports, and that's going to be Kate.
Yes, Mayor and Council, before you tonight is the third quarter community development report. The first page talks about Bridge Street and some of the continued small progress we have on there. Staff is working with housing developers, access points, step forwards on the community campus, and supporting the existing businesses. So I think in a year, maybe two, you'll see a lot of change, both with our existing and future businesses on that street. Highway 47 has a large project, conversations that continue. We're talking to our senior housing providers still, they are moving forward. We have 2 additional retail opportunities that are looking at coming in on Highway 47. So we continue to try to make progress with them as well. On page 2, I highlight some of the ongoing housing developments, 2 of them that are going strong, such as the Meadows and River's Edge, and 2 that are kind of making their way through the process, Meadows second and Green Valley second. So having those second phases is important. It shows that those areas are successful and they can continue to not only develop in those areas, but to support that housing demand that the city is looking for. On the top of page 3, I also highlight Turtle Ponds, and I think I have in there that this one was to move forward this fall, and they are holding until next spring before they move forward with any of that. And then Rita Meadows second, which was a new one also that we have moving through the process. On page 3, I also begin with the building statistics. So far this year, we have 35 new single-family homes. It's looking like we're going to meet the 2018 numbers as of so far. Page 4 highlights the values. Again, we're kind of at that 2018 level in regards to revenues, and then in regards to the values as well. So we'll see if we get a big influx in new single family, but we don't have a large commercial that most likely will go through this fall. So these numbers will probably follow that 2018 timeline pretty close. On the bottom of page 4, I start with the administration. This remains very busy. Staff is still working on the internet projects, the park plan, Highway 47, the utility expansions, the sidewalk park. Those are all kind of in various steps of progress. Working with department website and forums from updating that code. Once you update something such as an entire zoning code, it really has a trickle down effect on a lot of different fingers in the department. We're trying to keep up and find all of those. And then working with the land acquisitions. Page 6 really outlines the pieces of the code enforcement, which remains continually high through this fall still. And then planning, I do want to mention that I do have 2 planning commission members that are up at the end of the year. I do have 1 application. I know one of the 2 that are up is not going to remain on the commission. So if there's any recommendations there. Otherwise, I would be happy to answer any questions of what's in the report.
All right, thank you, Kate. Good report. I noticed there on page 3, it says the building permits for new construction is 35, which should be closer to 2018, as you mentioned. But there's also at the bottom says permit totals remain high, and the city has proceeded process 403 total permits. So that takes on other things like decks, basements,
Correct.
whatever addition, things like that. So that there again, you have 35 for residential starts construction, but there's more permits than that.
Correct.
And then also a question I had here on the broadband, it says here the expansion of services was installed on the east side. So is that completed?
As far as I'm aware, if it's not completed, they are close to. They were going to be done this fall.
They are in the Smith Lake neighborhood, they're there now. That's on the far eastern point of the city.
And they're hooking up now?
Right now, well, they got getting ready to set the terminal towers.
Oh,
The
sure.
road, the
Good,
property.
very good. Okay, excellent.
But the west side was really hurting as far as town need goes.
Right, now we gotta work on that. Okay, also, I wanted to point out here on page 6 about code compliance. It says here, for the 3/4 of the year, code enforcement worked with 119 properties. Of those properties, only 10 are moving forward with citations that will be assessed. That's a big deal. And that is the reason we put in this code compliance with the officer, with Officer Hearns and working with Jody has done what we hoped it would do. Notify people what the problem is and let them have the opportunity to remediate it, and it has worked. Because otherwise, before, it would be a lot more than 10 people coming to us for an assessment, as it was in the past. Especially in the first years, it was a high number. So this just shows me it was a good move, and Officer Hearns was the right guy in the right time in the right place, working with Jody, another person in the right time in the right place. Has done a fantastic job under your department's leadership. To get us, to have it so council doesn't have to, I hate dealing with assessment. No, I just hate that. I really do. It's just, I don't think anybody up here likes it myself. But if it comes down to 10 people that aren't workable and that it has to happen, at least we've got 90% of the more people being notified, remediated, we can move on in a nicer way. So that just shows good government, in my opinion. So I want to commend you guys on that. And I just want to make sure I brought that up because that's one of the main things I look at, and there's a marked improvement, huge. Okay, so thank you. So I have to deal with the 10, but I can deal with 10 versus 30 a lot easier. So thank you. On that good report, and like I say again, when you're comparing, some of these graphs here, like from 2019, of course, that was the year when Quick Trip came in and revenues a little different because they had multiple on. I'm hoping to see another Quick Trip down the line here, which is another good year. So as long as we keep growing, that may happen. Anyways, let's move on. Sarah, do you have any comments on this report?
It's an excellent report, as usual. Dave, thank you for laying it out so efficiently, so it's easy to read and compare. I don't have any questions. I do, again, reiterate about the code compliance. It's nice to see that so many people are complying and we let them have an issue.
All right, thank you. Joe, your comments?
Great report as usual, Kate. Thank you for all your hard work. I was going to bring up the 2018 kind of comparison, but hopefully next year with some of those projects, hopefully coming to fruition, we'll see a lot more revenue next year. But thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Joe. Rob?
Okay, great report. I'm surprised we got that high with lumber prices where they're at. They've skyrocketed this year, and we're kind of still trudging forward with our economy here in St. Francis, which is a good sign. I hope that stuff will level off and kind of come down for 2022, and we can see those numbers go and continue to grow. So nothing that you can do about lumber prices, but if you could, I think that would help us in our environment here in St. Francis and growing. But great report. I just hope that all prices come down for all our residents. So.
All right, thank you. And I would just add on to that, it's also material availability too. I mean, from this one of the worst years I've ever seen for labor shortages and material availability. Metal doors are 12 weeks out. There's things out even longer than that. So it's tough on that situation. So hopefully this will get better next year, as you mentioned. All right, thank you. Kevin, your comments?
Very good report, Kate, as usual. I appreciate the mayor pointing out the code compliance situation as far as 10 people needing some extra help, and then out of 119. I know we gave an individual a little nudge earlier in the spring, I think February, March, and they have a nice new pole barn in their building, and I don't see any vehicles out and about, and the pole barn went up pretty quick, so we gave them a 30-day extension. They were gracious enough to reach in their resources and get the job done, so they complied, so that's pretty cool. Can you give us any background on MnDOT activity? I know we hired a firm that the MnDOT was acceptable or was affirmed to help us anyway walk through the mucky waters of Highway 47 and the intersections. As far as the public concerned, can you give us any update on next meeting with MinDOT? How's it going? Hot, cold, in between?
Sure, so I can probably jump in.
Yeah, let's.
So we're kind of at a stalemate with them for a little while there, but we had major breakthrough the last meeting we had probably a couple weeks ago with them. And we were trying to define the scope of the work that's going to be done. So we kind of laid out some certain options that we want to consider moving forward as opposed to just focusing on primarily the previous option. We wanted to have options going forward, multiple options for the council to look at. I think we're going to come to terms on those, looking at 3 different future options. The consultant was just working on finalizing a quote from MinDOT and city to see what the cost would be for that project.
So you have a meeting, an actual scheduled meeting with MinDOT for the next go around?
So the consultant is supposed to prepare a bid price for MinDOT to show them what that cost for that scope. And then once they do that, then we'll reconvene and make sure we're all on the same page.
And the consultant's been attentive to our needs. They know how important this is, and that they've been communicating in a timely fashion. And
they've been very receptive on our end. I think just some of the hang-up was a little bit with MinDOT's administrative procedure. Because we had selected the vendor, there was a limit on the contract automatically because it was like a direct select versus a bid contract. So we just worked through some of those rules that they had and we found a solution.
okay, so it sounds like some positive stuff anyway. It's not all gloom and doom at this point. So, and we're getting communication, so that's good. And also just a reminder, like Kate said, planning commission candidates. Again, I'll reiterate as I did the last meeting, there were 3 no-shows for the last one. You know, we love our citizens, and if you stood up to be a part of it, you know, stay a part of it. It's pretty tough with our chairperson here as well, for her to run a good show if we're missing people to help make decisions. So there are 3 people that weren't there last time. Kate's got openings for 1 to 2 people right now. Please step forward. I mean, this is your city as much as it is our city, and you have no right to complain or voice your concerns unless you want to be a part of it, which you're more than welcome to, and we welcome you heartily to come forward. So that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So one more thing on the broadband, I mean, you're saying that the east is there and will be available, if not already, will be shortly to the people. So what's the next steps for the west side?
So currently, Mayor, so I'm waiting for the contract agreement from Anoka County for the grant funds that the federal government has clarified some of their terms on the funding that we receive in regards to areas that can receive money for broadband. So the county is having to rewrite some of their policies to who they were handing the money out to. This area still qualifies. It's exactly what the federal government was looking for when they talked about giving money for broadband. So we're waiting for an updated agreement from Anoka County, and then we're also waiting for final prices from Midco. So once I have those 2 pieces, I'll be back before you on that project for approvals, and then we can start to move.
So once again, CenturyLink did not step forward to work with us at all.
No, Mayor and Council, I have contact information. I have offered dates, and they just are too busy or out of capacity to really come in and give us more information. So at this time, we have the ability to move forward with, those grant funds. We've got our federal funds, and all of that is targeting broadband, and Midco is ready to go. So it will get the services in the fastest on this route. But if we want to expand with other providers in the future, we could still look at grants and different options with other providers. But this would be, it's not fast enough for the residents on the west side asking for it, but it's going to be the fastest route at this point.
Well, at least there's a direction to it coming, which is better than nothing. So, all right, thank you once again, Kate. All right, let's go to council member reports. Joe, let's have your report.
I'd just like to thank staff and council as well as the public for putting up with me being out of town, and staff especially, and Darcy for getting this Zoom thing to work out and make it doable. So I do appreciate that, and appreciate all the work from everybody back home.
I'd just like to say is next time, could you show us a picture of the ocean while you're there, especially when the snow flies over here? We appreciate that.
The Wi-Fi is not that good at the ocean.
It's green.
Okay. Sarah, your report, please.
I'll echo Joe with thanking the staff. I don't think we can thank them enough. It is wonderful to work with and always very accommodating.
All right, Rob, yours.
I don't really have anything to report, just got back into town myself, from Arizona, so this is a nice vacation away from, Minnesota for a little bit to see the rest of the world, but, I'd like to thank all of our department heads for the excellent work that they do. Come out this Sunday for Saturday for the French toast breakfast at the fire department. Come out to support fire department, and then I'm sure we'll have all the trucks out. Hopefully we'll have good weather and enjoy the community. So come out on Saturday and join the festivities. So that's all I really have.
Kevin?
I don't really have anything to add, sir. It was a long, dry spell as far as council and planning and zoning goes, so nothing really to share.
Okay. All right, for me, by the way, I just let council know that the security glass and security fobs and everything are all in place, the city hall, all done. We ran into a little bit of delays there with the material breakage and stuff like that, but we're all past that now. And I think, as any staff, have you got any comments from the public at all? Have they even noticed it at all?
I have not heard any.
Nobody. Well, that's good. And should this pandemic continue or come again, we won't have to have those flimsy things. We'll have some stuff already in place to be prepared, which I think is good. As far as the security, once again, that's a situation based on the times today. And I'd rather have our staff be safe than sorry. And I'm happy that I could feel, I think, and I know they can feel safe in their everyday deal. There's help on the way at a close timeframe. As far as the liquor muni, the cooler that was taken out will be coming back next week, finally. It's going, actually, we got past some of the bumps, and our exterior is going to be done here very shortly. Rooftop unit should be on. So things are looking a lot better. I think we got some out of the roughness out of it. I think I finally got that drilled into them. What we'd like to see, like a finish line. But it's turned out pretty nice. And so I would just recommend or ask that if any one of you want to take the time to come and see it, of course you always can, and take a look around. I think you're going to like what we've done here. 2,400 square feet is going to give us some great bulk purchasing ability and expand the product line. I know the customers are very excited about it. And I think it's a very smart move here for us to do ahead of any liquor store that they're going to groceries. We'll be ahead of it. Be a nice destination place. And I'm hoping that the change to MnDOT on 47 will enhance that by putting the stoplight on 233rd, because crossing, I'm sure everyone in this room can attest to the fact that on a Friday afternoon, or even any day in the afternoon after 4:30 or whatever, 3:30, 4:30, I'm sure both Dave and Todd can attest to this, that crossing east-west on 233rd, without that stoplight was not Pedersen right now, you would not have a shot to get across that east-west without taking chances. It's very bad. So having a stoplight there is going to help a lot. And help our business there on that. We're also getting a new parking lot there at the city, at the liquor mini. It's all going to be new. The good news was that Crystal and John were able to find new racks that will be painted and new, and that was a big deal there, especially at the same time I Sandy's going to be opening up there. So things are looking good there. I'm seeing daylight now. I'm being optimistic, and so I just say to you that if you're interested, you want to stop there, we'll take you for a tour. All right, we'll spin around, see what goes on. Other than that, yeah, the French toast breakfast that is always good. Always good. It's something you should not miss. Once again, I want to thank staff for all your work and all this. Your patience with the public as well as your patience with us as a council, and many questions we ask are all in good intent. But we're elected to ask questions, and that's what we have. And, but I want to thank all staff over all the time here that we've been, and this administration's been, we do diligence and everything that we promise the public, we do being transparent and full disclosure and everything else. We are walking that talk, and that's a good thing here. So I want to keep that going forward for the next years to come. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, on that, I don't think there's any more on that, so I'm going to move into a closed meeting. But before I do that, well, Craig is still here. Any news on Poppy Street for next year? Are we still at? So, of course.
That's gonna be coming to the October 12th work session.
Oh, God. So,
Oh, boy.
We can just leave it at that.
Is there bumps in the road? Because I didn't.
There's mountains and.
Is there speed bumps that I'm not aware of?
Yeah, it's a couple of members of the council probably are the.
Well, I'm getting a look from you that's telling me something like that's coming. Should I take it out now and just go like this and blast my head? Should I do that? Or should I wait till the 12th? Jesus, Lord, I mean, come on, man. 2 years in the making to fix 1,100 feet of road, my God. All right, I'm just gonna calm down now and just wait for this work session. Okay. I'm sorry I asked that question. Jesus. God. You'd think we were building a government center on that road, or we're doing something crazy, but we're just trying to repair it. That's not, if it was harder, it'd probably go easier. If it's easy, it goes harder. Ugh, frustration. Anyways, okay, so other than that, do I close this meeting now and then open up for a closed meeting, or how do I do this?
You would go into closed meeting, so read from we've got a script here, I don't know if you've got that.
I don't have the script, so that's all
All ready to go.
right. That was like these prepared documents. All right, Mayor, in a few minutes, I'm going to close the meeting under Minnesota statute section 13D.05, sub whatever, 3C3. The city council has the ability to move into a closed meeting to develop or consider offers or counteroffers for the purchase or sale of real property. The property under consideration is parcel identification numbers 05-33-24-22-0013 and 05-33-24-22-0012 in the city of St. Francis. During the time the meeting is closed, the meeting will be tape recorded. The recording will be preserved for 8 years after the meeting. The recording of the meeting will be made available to the public after all real property discussed at the meeting has been purchased or the city has abandoned the sale. A list of all members present during the closed meeting will be made available to the public after the closed meeting. I now ask for a motion to move the meeting into closed session. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Councilor Bauer makes a motion. Is there a second? Councilmember Ludwig makes a second. Once the vote is approved, the council board should move into the closed session. Do a roll call, Jenny, please.
Councilmember Bauer,
Aye.
Councilmember Robinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Bauer,
Aye.
Councilmember Udvig,
I.
Mayor Feldman.
Aye.
The only question I would have is, does the live streaming or something need to be affected by this before we move forward?
We'll have to turn off the live streaming and the recording, but keep meeting on to get everybody else out, right? So when you close it, we'll have to shut things down.
It says here, other than city staff and the board members, would everyone else please leave the conference room once the closed meeting is reopened? I will invite everyone back in the conference room. Thank you, and I'm reading as the script says. Thank you.
Hold on there.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.